What's up, math scholars and math haters? This is Mr. W. Today we're going to tackle question 8 in the 7th grade math questions that North Carolina released this past school year. The question is showing us a table with a relationship between one variable and another variable, x and y. And we're supposed to find out which equation models this relationship. How can we get y from x? Which equation is going to tell us how we do that? So to do a question like this and to do it really well, you'll need to know about proportionality, which is this idea that we multiply by the same thing every time to get from x to y, and then also we'll need to use a little bit of division skills. So, there was another question where it put this, where it put a similar problem to this in terms of how long you worked and how much money you made. We're going to treat this very similarly, so if you want to go back and watch my video from that question, it was question 6, but we're going to do something very similar here, and we're going to say that since all of our equations and our answer choices look the same, y equals 53x, y equals 53.5x, y equals 54x, y equals 54.5x, we're just going to look for that number that we can multiply every time to get from x to y. So 3 times something equals y, 6 times something equals y, 11 times something equals y. And so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pick one of these. We're going to get the same answer no matter which one we do. So I'm going to pick the first row because the numbers are smallest, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to just treat this like it's an equation. I know that 3 times something equals 163.5. So now I think it would be best if I use fact families to flip that around and say that if 3 times something equals 163.5, then I also know that 163.5 or 163.5 divided by 3 is going to give me this unknown number. So at this point, I'm going to have to set this up as a long division problem. And if there's another way that you know how to do long division, try your method or use your method to try this problem out. You should get the same answer. All right, so I'm doing 163.5, or in 5/10. I've been saying 0.5, and that's a bad habit. I shouldn't be doing that. Divided by 3. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to compare 3 to 100. Now, 100 can't be split evenly. 1 doesn't go, or 3 doesn't go into 1 evenly. So I'm going to put a little dot up there and remind myself that I tried that number out. I tried out 100, and I'm going to move on to my tens. I'm going to see that I have 16 tens. So how many times does 3 go into 16? Well, if I get out a 3 times table, three goes into 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, too many. 3 goes into 16 5 times. So 3 goes into 16 5 times. I take out the 15 tens that would be required to split that up. It leaves me with 1 10 left over. I bring down my 3 ones, and now I've got 13 ones left. So I'm seeing how many times 3 can go into 13. 3, 6, 9, 12, too many. 3 goes into 13 4 times. I get rid of 12. 13 minus 12 gives me 1. I bring down my 5, and now I'm looking at tenths. So I put a decimal up here, and I need to figure out how many times 3 goes into 15 tenths. This is like 15 dimes. If I split 15 dimes up among 3 people, each of them would end up getting exactly 5 dimes. 15, 15 tells me there's no remainder. So now I know that 3 times 54.5 equals 163.5. And I look for an answer that gives me 54.5, and it's choice D. So this is another of those proportionality questions. This comes up a lot in 7th grade math.